Let me begin by asking you a question. Have you ever felt lost in your healing journey? Maybe you've been praying for days, months, or even years, yet the healing you seek seems out of reach. It's easy to wonder, why isn't God answering? Where is He in my pain? If you've ever felt like this, you are not alone. So many of us have experienced moments of uncertainty in our healing journey, but today I want to remind you of a profound truth. God has a perfect plan for each of us, including in our healing, even when it seems like nothing is happening. Healing isn't always instantaneous. We live in a world that thrives on quick fixes, where waiting feels like a burden. But friends, God's timing is different from ours. His timing is perfect, and His plan is always working, even when we cannot see it. When we trust in God's timing for our healing, we open ourselves to experience miraculous transformations, not just in our bodies, but in our hearts and spirits as well. Healing is more than just physical, it's spiritual, emotional, and mental. And often God uses the waiting season to do something incredible in our lives. You need to trust God's plan for your healing. That's the first step. I know it's easier said than done, right? Trusting means letting go of control and surrendering to God's timing. But it also means that, despite the pain or uncertainty, God is working for our good. Trust is not passive. It's an active step of faith that requires us to lean into God, even when we don't understand the full picture. In the book of Proverbs, we are reminded about this. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. Here's the thing. Sometimes we won't understand why we must wait for healing, but that's where faith comes in. God's ways are higher than ours, and His plan always surpasses our limited perspective. But let's be real. Waiting for healing is hard. The journey can be filled with moments of doubt, impatience, and fear. Perhaps you've questioned, is God even listening to my prayers? Or, what if this pain never ends? Doubt creeps in when our timeline doesn't match God's, and we can start to wonder if healing will ever come. Impatience is another common struggle. We live in a world of instant gratification where we expect quick answers. But God often asks us to wait because He's doing something in the process that we may not understand yet. James in his letter tells us to consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Through patience, God builds character, strengthens our faith, and refines us into the people He created us to be. Then there's fear, the fear that we'll never be healed, or that our pain is too great for even God to fix. But fear is not from God. Paul, in his second letter to Timothy, assures us that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. When we feel fear creeping in, we must replace it with God's promises. He has the power to heal, and no circumstance is too big for Him to handle. Let's turn to biblical examples that illustrate the importance of faith and patience in God's timing for healing. One of the most profound stories of healing in the Bible is the woman with the issue of blood. For 12 years, she suffered, spent all her money on doctors, and found no relief. But she didn't give up. She believed that if she could just touch the hem of Jesus' garment, she would be healed. And when she reached out in faith, Jesus stopped, turned to her, and said, "Your faith has healed you." Her healing came because of her faith, even after years of suffering. Another example is Lazarus. When Lazarus was sick, Jesus was informed, but didn't come right away. In fact, He waited until Lazarus had died before He arrived. To those around Him, it seemed like He was too late. But Jesus' delay was intentional. When He raised Lazarus from the dead, He showed that God's timing is always purposeful, even when it looks like the end. Sometimes God is waiting to do something greater than what we could ever imagine. We may think He's late, but He's always right on time. Let me also share a personal story. A close friend of mine battled with a chronic illness for years. She prayed for healing, visited doctors, and went through seasons of despair. It wasn't until she fully surrendered her healing to God, trusting His timing and His plan, that she experienced a breakthrough. It didn't come the way she expected, but it came at the perfect time, and not only did her body begin to heal, but her faith grew stronger in ways that transformed her life. Faith is often the key that unlocks healing. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus says, "If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you." Sometimes it's not about having a massive amount of faith, but just having the courage to trust in God's plan, no matter how small your faith may feel. Healing begins when we let go of our fears and doubts and trust that God's plan is unfolding, even in the waiting. You have to always remember this. When you trust God's timing and plan in the healing process, you finally rest and understand that God's timing is perfect, even when you cannot see it. Trusting Him means believing that He knows best. You realize that doubt, impatience, and fear are natural struggles during the waiting period, but you can overcome them by leaning on God's promises and remembering that He is always with you. Also, you learn that faith and patience are crucial. Healing may not come when you expect it, but when you trust God, you open the door for greater miracles. You understand that the stories of biblical figures and real-life testimonies remind you that God is always working, even in seasons of waiting. And finally, you accept that faith, even as small as a mustard seed, can move mountains and unlock the healing that you are longing for. Now, I want to encourage you. If you're in a season of waiting, don't give up. God is faithful, and His plan is working behind the scenes. Trust Him and know that your healing, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual, will come at the right time. I would love to hear your stories. Have you experienced a season of waiting for healing? How did God work in your life? Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos on spiritual healing and the incredible power of trusting God's timing. Thank you, and may God bless you on your healing journey.